I was invited to give a Golden Jubilee address in Huizen.
Huizen?
Yes, the software center here. I was the youngest international.
Yes, I know the place.
Yes,
in 53.
53. I was 35, now I will be entering my 80th year.
Have you ever been back there?
No.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Some years ago with Robert's car.
Just
Just
nostalgic and that reasons.
So that was the first time you were in Holland?
No, I was here much earlier. But first time, yes. I don't know, first or second time.
So you started storytelling already when you didn't know what to say. You just said
I didn't know. Empty words and empty phrases.
Yes. There's my father made a record of me, and I'm a very small kid in the cradle, and I'm acting as if I have a cigar and go like, and I'm still doing this.
It's very strange. I gave a public lecture in Brussels the same year. As an international lecturer of the Peace Office. I was so proud, a 35-year-old fellow. And it was supposed to be a public lecture, and there were 28 people, I counted them. And 25 out of them were old women in tennis shoes. Sitting there with a basket in their lap, knitting some stuff for their children or grandchildren. And I used to speak for 45 minutes and threw open 15 minutes for them to ask questions. Some lady got up and asked me a question, do roses reincarnate, sir? Am I going to spend the rest of my life answering such questions, addressing such people? There on the spot I decided that's the end of this kind of a lecturing. And then I walked out.
But do roses incarnate?
You're asking me. Is there any such thing as reincarnation? I must tell you something else. The same year, and that is 1925, that was rather, my English is getting worse because I'm sitting next to an American. You see, so at that time, you see, those were the heydays of Krishnamurti's world teacher.
Yes, right.
And there were 4,000 delegates. And when you are introduced to somebody, you see, I am UG, what is your name? You see, that's the way the introductions occur. And so they always introduce themselves as, I was Queen Victoria in my past life, what were you? I'm not joking, you see.
No.
So they grabbed all the historical figures, all the religious people, not even these names of the stars, there was nothing left for me. I was so depressed, dejected, dispirited, and disheartened, and walked away.
Yes.
That was the end of my interest in reincarnation.
Yes.
Although the whole Hindu structure is built on the foundation of reincarnation, I had great difficulty, you see, to handle, and the Theosophists believe that, you know, something fundamental. You know. And so I had problem as a lecturer, and I avoided talking to the members. I gave only public lectures and got away with that kind of thing.
I heard that heaven seems to be full too.
Yes.
Nobody fits anymore.
No.
Because of the overpopulation.
Overpopulation.
Some priest who came back from his death experience explained that he couldn't get in.
Yes.
So everybody goes straight to hell now.
Now it has become fashionable everywhere, the near-death experience.
The near-death experience.
Near-death experience. That's very strange.
Yes, big.
Yeah. And so I had to meet all these people in Australia and deal with them, and it's very difficult. They describe the so-called non-existing death experience in exactly the same language. You see the tongue, you see that. And it's very difficult to make people understand that there is no such thing as death for this living organism. You see, it's a definition. You see, the doctors examine the body. If you want to use double to emphasize that it's a dead corpse, not just a dead person, they will come and examine the body and tell you that he is she or it is dead. It's just a definition, but you don't preside over your own death. You are not there. What you call you has to come to an end first, before what is called death can take place. But as a matter of fact, death is the beginning of other forms of life. I may not continue to be in this shape and form, and you don't even experience the death of others. What you experience is that there is no way you can keep the relationship going, and what you are experiencing is the void that is created by what is called death. So this body has no way of knowing that it is alive at this moment. I can tell you, if you ask me, are you alive or dead, I would say, yes, I am very much alive. Because I have to use the knowledge that is given to me by the doctors, by the physiologists, use that knowledge and experience what they are telling me, how a living person functions, responds, and experiences things. So the same is true of your health. Health is a definition, Disease also is a definition. These are all definitions. I maintain and emphasize and overemphasize all the time that what you do not know, you cannot experience at all.
Exactly. So what we experience is all learned.
Knowledge that is put in, passed down to us, not necessarily as concepts, as ideas, but as something that is possible for you through the use of that knowledge to experience again.
So you know Byron Katie's system, huh? Just by simply asking yourself the question, is it true? How do I know it's true? You already discovered just an idea or a story that you tell yourself.
But I don't know what she means when she says whatever she is saying. To me, is there any such thing as truth?
Is there such anything as what?
As truth.
As truth.
Truth is...
Is there such anything as truth?
Only to the reference point imagining it, attached to it in the moment. So I join there, and the answer is no. And I join in that place of apparent understanding to reach the point, finally, of from where Yuji is speaking. It gives everyone the experience that does that loop, that circle, the experience that I'm hearing from Yuji.
But are you not translating this, whatever statements, quote unquote, I am making, within the framework of the experiencing structure? Now, I'm not questioning you see, but
I understand.
no, I'm trying to understand what you are trying to say. You see, to me, as a student of philosophy, student of religions, I studied all the religions as a student of philosophy. I'm very familiar with all that stuff. But is there any such thing as truth? The question itself is false, because there is an assumption that there is such a thing as truth.
Right.
And you can write books on the origin of truth and your experience of truth. It is a logically ascertained premise. There is a truth. If I say that this is the truth, it is no longer true and valid even for me. So what I am telling people is, whatever I am saying is not valid and true even for me. So if you accept that, you are putting yourself on a merry-go-round. So it is a logically ascertained premise. There is such a thing as truth. It is a movement. It is like life. Life itself is a movement. So you cannot capture and contain and give expression to life.
No.
But what we are dealing with is not life, but living. Living has become a problem. The living is created, this is how you should live, this is the meaning of life, this is the purpose of life. And there we are stuck with these concepts that you have to find out the meaning of life, you have to find out the purpose of life. A living thing never asks those questions. Anything that we want to know is put in there by our culture or by our society. So what is the truth? That question itself is absurd. And it is born out of the assumption that there is such a thing as truth. So if there is any such thing as truth, there is no way you can capture it. See, even what is called beauty, you see, the moment you say that it is beautiful, the sunrise is beautiful, you have already put it in a frame, you know, and otherwise you will never tell yourself that that is a beautiful thing out there. So if you ask for me, say I see a beautiful girl, is she beautiful or ugly? I wouldn't say she's an ugly duckling. By our definition, you see, passed on to me, I have to call that person but a beautiful person, or that's a beautiful scene. So to me, everything that is born out of thought is a pleasure moment. I'm not condemning anything. See, I'm not condemning pleasure. It's a sensual activity. Anything that is born out of thought is a sensual activity. So eating 14-course meal or having fun with varieties of girls is exactly the same as far as I'm concerned. You see, you know, when once that is a fact, you will not do this, you will not do that. You see, all those people who practice celibacy, who practice all the virtues and they're in the holy business, they are all very fat people. See, they eat and eat and eat.
Yeah.
Even Buddha had a big, not the Gandhara sculpture that they created in India, you know, that was Alexander's idea when he invaded India. You see, some Greek artist created that Buddha. But actually and factually, it had a big stomach. You know? So he doesn't need any tables, he can put his computers on that or even typewriters and type on it. And then you can have your tray, your stomach. I'm very
the only thing that makes sense is to tell just stories.
Yeah,
and see them as stories.
But
just stories.
Then you call me an entertainer. And so if I'm an entertainer, I need to be paid. Or I entertain myself. You know.
Yeah, isn't that the case?
No, I don't think so. But you have every right to brush this aside and dub that label or force that label on me. You are after all an entertainer. They are all entertained by me. But am I? I don't know. Why not? You know, it must bring some rewards, this entertainment.
So for you too, it's what you tell. It's all stories that we tell ourselves, and the moment we believe them, it's like it's suffering basically.
That's the way it can be heard.
Yeah.
And if I tell it very simply and basically, everything Yuji says, again, the 4 questions give everyone the opportunity to experience what the man is apparently experiencing. Nothing, no one, nowhere, no thing. The 4 questions, you know, hearing you, Yuji, there's no one existing. A person could say, Yuji, what? What's an example? Yuji.
You said yesterday, he's deadly.
He's deadly.
Yes.
Deadly?
Deadly.
Mamma mia.
Mamma mia.
You know that...
Here you go.
Right.
So Yuji, from the question, Yuji is deadly. For you to see me as existing at all, as any more or less than you exist as a thing, I could only see as a response, just as you say, a computer coming at me. And when it's argued or dialogue done around it, we could say, UG exists. Is it true? Can you really know that? what do you get for holding the belief? These are meditations to go inside. For people who think there is existence, to go in and see the no thing, experience it, not see it. And what do we get without it? And what happens is we end up with no UG and no one to experience UG. It can't be known until it's gone into an experience. I have no interest in how people see me. I have no control over that. I don't, I could say actually that it's just me experiencing me anyway. I have no interest in it. No interest in it. What I do have an interest in is union. Union at some level. It appears to be my nature. And nothing I say is true. And as you would say, why am I talking? What I know I do like is to hear, to be in the presence of the non-presence. The union of that, the experience of that. There is nothing that anyone can say that has any meaning for me. There's no one for it to have meaning. It's very interesting sitting here. There's not a lot I could say to you. There's no one to listen. And there's no one to speak. What I do know is being here is, I can't even say that.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. So?
No comment. Like
No comment.
Politicians, gimmicks.
Gimmicks, apparent gimmicks.
No, I'm not saying anything.
Well, I love
no,
to
he's
join
asking
there.
me.
And Eugene, I love to join there. Let's say that the way that it was picked up on is gimmick. And I would love, I respect our friendship, and I would ask you, the 4 questions or anything from anyone is a gimmick. Can we know that?
Well, the way I put it would be different. There are no questions at all. The questions I need to ask, how to get to this space, and what is the easiest way of, cheapest way of traveling from here to Fribourg or wherever I am going. What mode of transportation? These questions are very essential to ask. And otherwise you cannot function in this world sanely and intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other questions we ask are born out of the answers we already have. Otherwise there can't be any questions at all. So actually and factually you don't want any answers for the questions, you see.
Yes.
So any answer, I'm not giving any answers to the questions at all. I'm just pointing out one thing, that you are not really interested in getting any answer for that question. You only want a confirmation of the answers that you already have.
Yeah.
And so if I don't confirm, you reject it. If it fits into that framework, the knowledge you already have, you accept it because this answer strengthens and fortifies the very thing that you want to hold on.
Yes.
So the next thing is that we must deal with is that there is no question there, but there is only questioner there. See, the question and questioner are one and the same. We think that the questioner is different from the question. So if there is any answer, I don't have any answers for any questions except the questions we need to ask to function in this world.
Mm-hmm.
How that is working, and he can teach me. He is an expert, and by repeating, you see, my efforts to handle that camera, I will learn how to do it. That's all. Only in that area, they have the answers. Through repetitive process, we learn something.
Mm.
Since there is no questioner there, but there is only one question, I am saying that. But you think that there is somebody who is asking the question. But if there is any answer to that question, the question should disappear. And along with the questioner also goes. you
Yes.
see.
Yes.
And so you want an answer that will strengthen and fortify the very answer that you have, you know. So you are not in a position either to accept what I am saying or reject what I am saying. You accept it because it strengthens and fortifies the very thing that you think is the real answer. So you accept it. You try to fit this into that framework and feel very strong. See that it is confirmed by somebody like me. You reject it because it is undermining the very foundation of, the answering mechanism that is there inside of you. So you really don't want any answer to that question. If there is any answer to that question, the question disappears. And along with it, the non-existing question occurs. And along with that, the question is born out of the answer. That also goes. You are not ready for that kind of a thing because you have invested tremendous faith in that person who has given the answer. So sentimentality comes into the picture, and you are not ready to brush aside the answers that you already have. Along with that, the person who has given, you see, those answers for your non-existing questions.
And we mostly go to the people who we know will give the right answers. Confirm.
You are interested in the confirmation,
Yes.
but not any answers for your questions, because all questions are the variations of the same question, right?
Mhm.
So you are not really interested in any answer for that question, because that would be the end of you, as you know yourself and as you experience yourself. That is why I say, is it possible for you? As a matter of fact, you have never looked at anything in your life except to project the knowledge you have on what you are looking at. So if you are lucky to be free from the stranglehold of thought, you will be surprised how this living organism is functioning, how the sensory activity that is there is so extraordinarily alert, you see. So it is no way you can say to yourself that you have at any time looked at anything. As a matter of fact, when the knowledge you have of the things out there and what is happening inside of you is not there, it is always there, unfortunately, you don't know whether you are looking at that and say that it is green. As a matter of fact, what all we were taught by the scientists and whatever we learned from all of them is false, because the physical eye does not look at the tree as a round. Whoever told me that the tree is round misled me and misguided me and put me on the wrong track. The physical eye does not see the other side of the tree. So it sees only one side, and you have to tell yourself that it is flat and it is not round. That is the way the physical eye is looking at the things. Another thing is the physical eye does not look at the space. So all the talk, those physicists who talk about, you see, the third dimension, fourth dimension, all that is absolute gibberish, absolute nonsense. And so what I am saying is the physical eye cannot see the depth at all. What it sees is like the painting on the wall, the photo on the wall. There is no depth. So anybody who says that I see the depth there is kidding himself and kidding everybody. So I tell people, if Einstein were to be here, I would finish him in 1 second. See, 1 second. If he is intelligent enough to understand what I am trying to put across. For example, I give you, see, this is very essential to focus on what I am trying to say. Sometimes these physicists come, and one nuclear physicist visited me. And we talked at great length about space, matter, and time. I listened to that crap for half an hour. And he said, there is no such thing as a space. Oh, I'm delighted that you have discovered that there is no such thing as a space. Does it operate in your life? I asked him. It's a theory. You are like a metaphysician coming out with the theories. Scientists are no different from metaphysicians. So if, as you say, there is no such thing as space, and you are asserting that there is no such thing as space, and you are telling me that you can experience space, you are kidding yourself and you are not kidding me. I asked you one fundamental question. You are about to make love to your wife or your girlfriend. If there is no space, as you maintain that there is no such thing as space, can there be love making? Finished. Said like this. Do you know what it means? The whole scientific thinking, we are so proud of collapses. It never occurred to me like that. But what you are saying is true, but I want to believe that you are wrong. What would happen to me? I have to work as a dishwasher somewhere to survive in this world. So all this talk that there is no such thing as matter, there is no such thing as a time, that there is no such thing as a space, and they go one step further and say what is called four-dimensional space-time continuum. It is absolute rubbish. It's as much an aberration as the religious thinking of. They are not ready to accept that. Unfortunately, they have become the handmaids of the state, just the way the religion was the handmaid of the state. And the state used them as instrument of power. It's the same everywhere. If the state had not used them and as an instrument of power, Buddhism would have remained a small cult, Christianity would have remained a small cult. They became the instruments of power. In exactly the same way, those people who are coming out with all kinds of theories, they are only interested in prestigious awards and Nobel Prizes. That's all. They come up with one theory today, and another fellow comes along with another theory, and there is order in the universe. Fine, I'm delighted that there is order in the universe. He gets one Nobel Prize. Another joker comes along and says there is only chaos. He gets a Nobel Prize. And a third chappie comes along and says, I see both chaos and order in the same frame. You will get another Nobel Prize. What is the actual situation? Is there chaos or is there an order? Why the hell am I interested that there is order or chaos in this universe? I'm only interested in making a living, where my next meal will come from, who will provide me a shelter over my head here. That's all. These are the basic things I am interested in. But as far as this living organism is concerned, it is not interested in any of the ideations, any of these mentations, that they are is...
Eugene, when you say you're interested in where your next meal comes or your shelter, I don't believe you.
No, but this organism is interested only in two F's. I'm sorry to use that word.
Eugene,
food and effing.
Eugene,
Other than that, anything that we want to know what they are trying to teach me has no relevance at all.
So what do you want to say?
No, sorry. I'm saying much too much.
Stop.
All right,
I heard you say that it's essential that we understand you, hear you, and I don't believe you believe
No,
that.
it's not a question of belief, a question of you believing or not believing.
I understand.
No, but that
I'm
is the way
asking.
to focus. See, the thing that the living organism is not interested in anything other than these basic things. And I can tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing. You see, people don't believe me when I say that amongst my needs, the food is at the bottom of my needs, and money is on the top. You see, so when I say that money is at the top, you see, you don't function like that. You have given away crores and crores of rupees. And how can you say that is at the top? You see, it is not a means of security for you. There is another thing, that if that is the one and the only need for you. Money is all that matters to you. And you don't think of anything other than money. And you don't even find out, you see, or ask the question, how do I get the money to take care of my food, clothing and shelter? It is never a problem there. Or it is not some mysterious way that money comes to you. I don't know if I make my point. But sir, come on.
Eugene, as you talk, it's almost, and we could even say apparently cut one off, we could say. It's as though you belong to a very exclusive club that doesn't allow the other. And it's not so much the way I hear it, it's what I'm hearing. It's almost as though it's theory after theory, and If I were to have one, that would be it. Yours would be it. What I invite
Thank God.
people to do is to enter that same awareness that you apparently experience in a way that gives them an option. An invitation is not the same as a needing or a wanting. It's a simple offering that would allow one to, the experience that I see you in is complete.
I don't know. I don't get what you are saying, but
I didn't either.
no, you see what I.
I'm saying that when you speak, it appears to assume that you're the only one that may have the understanding, when, of course, we all do, and I know you know that. I just find it fascinating the way the apparent organism sings,
No, what I am.
sounds.
I'm sorry. What I am emphasizing is a very simple thing. This living organism and that living organism, or the living organism of all those people around here, are functioning in exactly the same way. Exactly the same way.
Yes.
There is no need for them to learn anything from anyone. You see. So whatever we are telling ourselves and others, what is good for this living organism is false as far as this body is concerned. I am only emphasizing one thing, how this body functions with such alacrity and such intelligence, unparalleled. See, so we don't give this any chance to function in this world sanely and intelligently.
That would almost be like the last concept to go.
No, I'm like a dog. A dog, somebody even put it in the newspaper's headline, UG calls himself a rat in the sewer water. That's no different from me as far as, it is not that I tell myself I am not different from that, then that means it's the same old story. You know?
Yes,
I am the tree, I am that, but to emphasize the point that there is basically, essentially, fundamentally, no difference between that and me. Unfortunately, the culture or civilization or society or whatever you want to call it, created this kind of human species.
And I'm hearing that you just created it.
Not me, they created me.
And
Whatever I
and
say,
is
whatever
that
I
really
think,
true?
whatever I experience is what is put in here. So I say there is not one thing which I can call my own. Not one thing, not one word.
You learned everything.
Huh?
You picked up everything from your parents.
Everything.
From
One of these days I say there is no such thing as creativity. There is no such thing as originality at all. This is what I can say. But there is not one word, not one thought, not one experience which I can call my
endless repetition.
Everything. I may not know where I picked up that and put this into this
Right.
computer. There will come a time when these computers will tell all those people who think that they are very creative and original, the source of their material, how you see it is created. So the one difference between the computers created by the humans, and they feel so proud that they are responsible for the computer. And this computer is that it never, supposing you ask a question, it never says it is such. Never says it is such. Because there is no need for this to search for anything. And if the is not there in the memory bank or the data bank, the information, it is silent. It doesn't even say to itself or to somebody,
Yes.
it is not found in the memory bank
Yeah.
or data bank.
Yeah.
If it is there, it comes out.
Yeah.
So I am not involved in whatever I am coming. That is why I tell my friend who is now one of the top movie directors, Mr. Mahesh Bhatt, the author of my so-called biography, don't quote this source, you are original. So the moment you quote the source, you are giving importance. That's the reason why I say that intellectual property rights, it's like grabbing this property and calling it mine. we are not honest, decent, and decorous enough to admit that there is nothing which is original here. Everything is taken from outside.
Yeah.
And so these computers will tell you very soon where you picked up that information. Now you have changed it into this and claim originality and establish copyright. And then everybody is demanding, every nation must assign, that intellectual property rights.
So when we are born, you can say we don't think.
You see, anything I say about how I was like when I was born is a speculation on my part. There is no way I can look back and tell myself I was functioning like that. So that is why I sometimes say these very absurd things. Once somebody interviewed me there in London, TV, Asia TV or something. I said all mothers are monsters. And my interviewer said, I have 4 children. How can you say that I'm a monster? And I said, if you don't like that, if it pleases you, let me add one thing more. Children are no angels. So what about husbands? And she said, they don't count at all. And that created a very awkward situation for me. And the telephone calls lasted for 3 days. How can you say such a thing? From Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, all over. And one woman who was there, ready to give birth to her child, she called me in her broken English. How can you say such a thing? And what do you want me to do with my child that is going to arrive very soon? Abandon that child.
Abandon the child.
You see? And so what I am trying to say is, where actually it begins, you see, the brainwashing. The first kiss of the mother is the beginning of the separation. What I am trying to say is, then goes on, it's I am your mother and that is your father. I didn't see my father for the first 5 years of my life. If my mother died when I was 7 days old, they introduced her. From now on, I have to call this guy my father. How the hell do I know that it is my father? You see, and from that moment onwards, every time I meet him, I have to call him my father. Even today, I introduce my daughter as my daughter. I don't have any actual and factual relationship with anybody, And so I say that's my daughter, and just to say that happens to be my daughter and not your daughter or somebody else's daughter. This is only for purposes of communication. Other than that,
it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything at all.
Yuji, my experience with first existence, is it's interesting to hear you. And as you were speaking, my experience was not when Mother kissed me for the first time, but when I attached to that. When I put meaning to it, not 1 second prior.
Not you, the child. I'm talking about the child.
I as the child.
I don't know. I can't say anything about how I was like as a child. But this is what I observed. You see,
Yuji, Mother
I
did not
learned,
give me
I
anything.
tell you, I learned more from my own son, whom I looked after for 2 years, from a few minutes after he was born until he was 2 years. I can tell you I have learned more from him than from all the spiritual and secular teachers put together in this world. Whatever I say is not what I have learned from them, say the teachers, but what I observed. My very observation, of course, is colored by my upbringing, by my culture.
Your ideas. Yeah.
So there is no way you can look at anything without projecting your ideations and mentations on them. You see, now the scientists are also telling.
We're saying the same thing. Can you hear it?
I don't even hear what I'm saying.
No.
That's my problem.
What I like is when the first sounds that a human being makes, more, and mothers immediately say, that's me. They claim it immediately,
Anyway, no, after a while, you see, nobody has come up with any idea of how to educate children without destroying the native intelligence and innocence they are born with. It's very difficult. Nobody has come out with any idea. And it is not possible because they themselves want to be accepted by us. And we are living in this world. This is a reality. And so they have to fit into this framework, however ridiculous the framework may
Yes.
be. So if we try to educate them in any other way other than this way, we get into trouble, they get into
Yes,
trouble. They
big
all
trouble.
become misfits in this
Yes.
structure. You see, the problem here is I am not in conflict with the society at all. I am not in conflict with the value system created by our culture. And I use the word culture, I only mean that it is a way of life and a way of thinking. Nothing else. I'm not talking of any other culture.
And you can exchange that way for a million other ways.
Million other things.
Yeah.
It's all part of that.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that there is no way you can function, survive intelligently in this world without accepting the fact that value system, however rotten it may be, I have to fit into that value system. Why am I educated? Why do I go to this university? Why do I have to acquire a tool?
And I'm not hearing that you fit into to the system.
I am part of this. I cannot separate myself. I cannot think of any other system, but I am not in conflict with that system.
I hear that.
Why people are in conflict? You see, the mad people, for example, I have known lots of them. And they have given up. They don't want to be part of that value system. And we force them.
Isn't it a...
There is no, the line of demarcation between me and Maddie is very thin. They don't want to fit themselves into that value system. I am not in conflict with that value system. There's nothing wrong with this value system. So what I am saying is that value system is created by our society or by our teachers as a model for everybody. And we are forced to fit into that. And that value system is modeled after the so-called spiritual teachers. You see, you have to be like those fellows, you know. That is the model for you. And you have to be like that. And so you have got to fit into this model. And this is created, that as we say, model. And this value system prepares you to be that one.
Even
So-
the speaking of it almost assumes that that's your value system, and I can't hear that it is.
No, I don't have any value system. I am not in
Yeah.
conflict with that system at all. But I
Yeah.
don't accept the great spiritual teachers as a model for me. They are all thrown out of my system. You see, so I have no problem there. See, I can function in this world without any problems. And why people are suffering? Because they don't want to put themselves into that value system. And the situation we find ourselves in forces us to accept that and be part of that value system. That is why there is a suffering, that is why there is misery, that is why they have all these problems. You know?
Our semantics are fascinating.
Hmm?
Our semantics are fascinating.
I don't know. So, semantics?
The way, the meaning of the same thing said so many different ways.
That's the only thing that we can do to emphasize something. See,
Yes.
there is no question of trying to communicate anything to anyone.
Yes.
It's not just possible. I was saying a while ago before you came.
It's not a
The
possibility.
conversation between two persons, whether it is between the mother and the child, or you see the husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, your boss, your servants, your colleagues, your boss, is only for one purpose, and that is to make them do the things exactly the way you want them to do. Otherwise, there is no need for any conversation at all. You know? So forget about communication. There is no way you can communicate anything during the course of these conversations.
So, but
People, we come to a point where that fellow says that your point of view. Fine, that is my point of view. What about yours, buddy?
but I have one last question
Yeah.
because we have 5 minutes left.
Good.
So
We
stay.
have talked for 1 hour.
No, we can talk on, but I have one last question.
I can sit here and talk for 24
I
hours.
know. But if we talk, let's say we talk for 24 hours, then
Okay.
after it's over, after it's over, what's left over is perhaps not the words.
No, but the pain
There's
within
a pain
vocal cords.
and a feeling.
No feeling, only
feeling?
vocal cords. And then you will have some sore throat or something like that.
And nothing has happened.
Huh?
And nothing has happened.
Listen, one thing, you don't seem to understand. This is only 5 minutes. You see, the memory, thought, consciousness, it is noise. Forget about the subconscious, unconscious, all that rubbish they talk about. So you have to, even when you are talking to yourself, you have to produce these sounds. So what memory is, nobody knows. Whatever these brain psychologists and brain physiologists and all these people are talking about, the neurons and all that, we just forget it. You have to make that noise within yourself, whether you speak aloud or to yourself. And so actually it is not here. The memory is not here. Every cell has a memory of its own.
Yes.
You see, it has to cooperate with the cell that is next to it because the survival of this cell depends upon the survival of the cell next to it. This is a living organism functioning that way. So you have to make noise inside of you, and you want to suppress that sound by repeating something else and then listening to the music, higher and higher and higher decibels of noise you have to produce to suppress this sound that is a part of your living organism.
Eugene,
yes,
I would ask you
Yes.
what you get from holding on to that whole theory, and if I believed you had the theory at all, which I
No.
don't.
No, I am talking about the theories of others, not mine.
Ah,
What they have
I
been
didn't hear that part. There
what
was
they
so much
have been
passion.
telling me for centuries, they are not valid and true here. That's all that I'm saying. So I rejected them all. You see, then I didn't find anything in its place, nothing new. I don't even know who the hell am I. See, when somebody said that, ask that fundamental question, who am I? Go into that, the nature of your real I. I found only one I, and that was the first person singular pronoun. That's all. And why are those jokers telling me that you must find out the real I and go into that step by step, logically, sanely, and intelligently, and find out the real I? I didn't find any other I there other than the first person singular pronoun. And when people talk, you see that the speaker, what is being said, more self-centered than I am. I visited a Swami when I was young and stupid. I am still a stupid.
Eugene, if there was someone to talk to here, I would say it is very fine to be with you again.
You are mistaken.
So
You said a while ago I am deadly.
that made a big impact.
Well, that was just a hopeful statement.
Nice.
Okay, we have been talking with Byron Katie, who met Eugene in Palm Springs,
Yes,
where you're living for part of the time.
yes.
You travel all over the world,
Yes.
so do you. And you're basically telling the same story, that it's all stories.
If,
Just that.
Why should I deny that privilege of putting things that way?
Because you do.
Great. Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
What's so wonderful about this
I
noise?
don't know, but it feels good.
Why not Eugene? Equal is not same.
Oh, I still have some tape left.